Welcome back to France 24. It's time for our French press review now with Florence Villeminot. Florence, yesterday French banks very much in the spotlight over fears they could well collapse. And once again, financial crisis grabbing the headlines in the French papers.
That's right. We're going to start off with Libération. La crise fait sauter les banques. It's a play on words. It basically means the crisis is holding up banks. Now, yesterday, as you said, the value of France's major banks went tumbling. Société Générale fell 14.7%. Crédit Agricole minus 11.8%. BNP Paribas minus 9.4%. So there's been a wave of panic across French newspapers today. We're going to look at La Tribune, which is a business daily here that says fears over banks. François, which is a tabloid, says, should you be afraid for your bank? And there's an interesting poll in Le Parisien, which says that 79% of those that were questioned say that they're afraid that the effects of this current global financial situation will have on France. And 67% of them are afraid of the consequences for their personal situation. Now, Le Parisien asked these people who they trust, and it's interesting to see that 48% say that they trust citizens. Now, it's unclear exactly what they mean by citizens, but they believe that, I guess, the people around them will avoid a new economic and financial crisis. Second is Angela Merkel. 46% of those questions say that they trust her to avoid another crisis. Now, French President Nicolas Sarkozy comes in seventh at 33%, and stockbrokers come in last with 6%.
Oh dear, poor Sarkozy. So basically no one's got any confidence in him, or only 33% of the people have confidence in him.
That's right, and this despite him rushing back from his vacation to hold an emergency cabinet meeting yesterday. Basically, he said that ministers have 1 week to draw austerity measures to lower the country's public deficit. Now, there's an article in Libération that wonders whether these new measures will be enough, and according to Libération, which is a left-leaning newspaper, France is headed pretty much towards a dead end despite its AAA rating. Investors are right to be worried because, according to Libération, the government's remedy, these austerity measures, are just going to be a trap. And they interview Thomas Courteau, who's an economist, and he suggests a radical break. He says that European governments should default altogether, basically because that way it would cause those who caused the crisis, which according to the article are banks, to rethink to pay, and governments will have to rethink their relationship with the world of finance.
Okay, it's an interesting strategy. But lots of papers very pessimistic actually about France's financial future, saying, we're absolutely going to have another crisis here.
That's right. Now, La Tribune, which is the business daily, says that it smells a lot like 2008. They say that all the ingredients of the 2008 crisis are here, but this time governments are up to their neck in debt for having bailed out banks the first time. They can't do it the second time. Le Monde interviews economist Jacques Attali, who is also very pessimistic. He says that France is destined to lose its AAA rating, and he says that the economic guru that governments are following these days isn't Keynes or Schumpeter, it's Bernie Madoff, because these governments are accumulating pyramids of debt. So a very, very pessimistic view. And talking about lashing out against banks, the French edition of Slate has picked up on a story in New York about a woman who flew a plane over Standard & Poor's, basically with a banner that read, "Thanks for the downgrade, you should all be fired." So obviously she was venting her anger there.
Gosh, that's quite an extreme measure, isn't it? Okay, and finally, the London riots making the headlines again, the trouble we've seen in London this week.
That's right. Now, Le Parisien has gone back to Tottenham. Now they're focusing on the aftermath, the cleanup efforts, and the support systems that are popping up in Tottenham. And according to locals, they're calling it the real face of Tottenham. Now, people have come together to buy diapers or donating clothes or even helping to clean up the streets and rebuild the houses. And according to the Parisien, locals are trying to find a positive message in what happened. Now, a lot of people say that, okay, these lootings happened, but they're talking out against that, but they're saying, what did this reveal? And it revealed that it was a real problem. And now a lot of the looters are getting a lot of bad press here in France. According to the online journal Rue 89, they've compiled a bunch of stuff that's going on online. For instance, there's a website called Photoshop Looter, which has taken a bunch of these photos that we've been seeing of looters and photoshopped silly things into them. For instance, we're going to take a look at this photo that we've seen that was on the front page of a lot of papers here. A looter looks like he's walking some poodles there.
Walking his poodles, yeah, as you do.
As you do. Car. And then another last one of looters, but what were they so eager to get their hands on? A bunch of teddy bears. There we go.
Oh, gosh. Well, there we go. Thank you very much, Florence, for joining us with the French papers. Stay tuned. We'll have more news coming up shortly, so don't go away.